June the 29th, bees and ants. As birdsong diminishes, the hum of bees now becomes more and more noticeable, especially in meadows on warm days and in the early morning. Many bees have moved from feeding on trees to collecting pollen and nectar from herbaceous plants in gardens. This makes it easier to recognize some of the more common species. Bumblebees are larger and hairier than other bees and lack a waist. There are 6 that are common in London. That is the buff-tailed bee, Bombus terrestris, the white-tailed Bombus lucorum, also called the small earth humblebee, the large red-tailed Bombus lapidarius, also called the large red-tailed humblebee, the meadow or early bumblebee, Bombus pretorum, also called the early humblebee. Field or common carder, Bombus pascuorum, and the garden bee, Bombus hortorum. When attempting to identify bumblebees, it is always worth noting their size, overall colour, tail colour, face colour, if given the chance, any bands of colour on their body. If the bee is very large with a buff tail, it is almost certainly a female Bombus terrestris. If the bee has a distinctly red tail, it might be either Bombus lapidarius or Bombus pretorum. If the bee with the red tail also has 2 bands, it is likely to be either a male or female Bombus pretorum. If it is just black, it may be a male Bombus lapidarius, and if it only has 1 yellow band, a female Bombus lapidarius. If the bee is an overall reddish-brown, it is more likely to be Bombus pascorum. White-tailed bumblebees present more of a problem. White tails with 3 yellow bands will be either a male, female, or worker of Bombus hortorum. A white tail with a yellow face may well indicate a male Bombus decorum, whereas a white tail with a black face indicates a male Bombus terrestris. Workers of both these species cannot really be separated in the field. Other bees add to the confusion, especially cuckoo bees, also called homeless bees, as they tend to mimic in looks the host bee that they parasitize. They lay their eggs in the nests of other bees. A clue to their identity can be the absence of pollen baskets, which they have no need for as they do not feed their own larvae. They also tend to be darker in colour. Potter bees look like bumblebees but tend to be smaller, have a defined waist, and are generally more variable in colour. The flower bee, Anthophora plumipes, also looks like a bumblebee but has noticeably larger eyes. The honeybee, which may well swarm this month, needs little introduction, but it also has many lookalikes. Mining bees look similar, but tend to be seen around sandy banks, either digging or entering holes, where they prefer to have their nests. The mason bee, Osmia rufa, may also be confused, but it's redder than a honeybee and has a black head. The male has a white face, and the female 2 small horns between her antennae. There are 250 different bees in Britain, and Bushy Park and Mitcham Common are 2 places where a reasonable number of different species may be seen. The yellow-faced bee, carder bee, and potter bees are all recorded from Mitcham Common, and flower bees, mason bees, leaf-cutter, and several mining bees from Bushy Park. The unforgettable, enormous, deep violet-blue carpenter bee is a vagrant that sometimes seems to float through our gardens on warm summer days. In the past, any wasp-like insects that were seen leaving nest holes used to be called nomad bees, and any bees seen digging holes were called gum bees. Any bees seen rolling around on the ground under lime trees are merely bees drunk on fermented nectar. Ants. Ants are familiar to us all with their large heads, elbowed antennae, and single or double waists. There are several species in London, but as many tend to live hidden away underground, especially queens and males, it is often only the workers we notice when the soil is disturbed. Typical colours of ants are black, reddish brown, and yellow. There are some that vary so much they can be all 3 colours, making them a hard group to identify in the field, especially as they can also differ in size a little. The largest, most impressive ant in London, and certainly the one to look out for in June, is the wood ant Formica rufa. Its head, antennae, legs and abdomen are all dark brown, but its thorax and the bottom of its legs are red. Its nests are conspicuous, being a pile of pine needles, possibly 1 metre high and 2 metres wide, although they can be much larger. These anthills or mounds are found easily enough in the pine woods near Wisley, especially on Oakley Common, among the Scots pines. The mound we see is just the top of the nest, there being a labyrinth of galleries, tunnels, and chambers lying below ground and possibly even connected to smaller anthills nearby. Inside there may be 300,000 worker ants, approximately 6 millimeters in length, and several queens almost double their size. These nests are worth examining with caution for all the activity that surrounds them. Well-worn trails, many meters long, can lead to them busy with ants carrying various items. One or several may be carrying caterpillars. They seem to be particularly fond of sawfly caterpillars. Others carry a variety of dead insects or even wood lice, as well as twigs and pine needles for any refurbishment of the nest that may be needed. The twigs are used to block the entrances at night from marauders. Ants may be seen climbing the pine trees right up to the canopy or milking aphids for their sugary honeydew on plants nearby. They may even be seen carrying favoured seeds from thistles, gorse and violets, all of which have some oily part which attracts them. If you get too close to these nests, a variety of things can happen. If the nest is disturbed, workers will pour out to defend it. This particular ant is quite large, bold, and aggressive. It may turn round and spray formic acid at you from the back of its abdomen. This has been known to feel like pinpricks when on the face and leave a sharp smell a little like ammonia. If not deterred, then they won't hesitate to bite you with their large, easily seen mandibles. However, a nest covered in wood ants in June could be a swarm. Unlike many other ants, when a fertilized wood ant queen leaves a nest, pursued by many winged male suitors, she doesn't necessarily fly off, but sometimes copulates on the outside surface of the anthill itself, providing quite a spectacle for the observer.